Protected. My name is Eric. In today's episode, we have this 2022 BMW X5M Competition in our shop. It is in frozen silver matte paint, and this is the first time I've ever had the chance to work on an actual OEM matte painted vehicle. This vehicle has got paint protection film, matte PPF installed on the full front end, and the customer of ours that just bought a couple weeks ago wants to get the rest of the vehicle wrapped in matte paint protection film so they can wash and keep their vehicle clean like normal without having to worry about ruining the exterior finish of this vehicle. This vehicle did have a vinyl wrap installed over top of it, as is evident by some of the leftover vinyl wrap in the door jambs and behind the doors and that type of stuff. So even though it is a 2022 with 20,000-ish kilometers, the paint is in flawless condition thanks to that vinyl wrap. But now we're going to protect it, and we're going to do a bunch of videos with this vehicle. We're going to do a video on how to install PPF on the roof. We're going to do a video on how to do PPF on this rear fender A-pillar that goes all the way to the front by the windshield. But in this video, what we're going to be doing is a video on how to install PPF on the doors, both the front and the rear doors. So, seeing as it is matte paint, I don't have to get crazy with the coverage of the PPF. Yes, I want to do as good of a job as possible, but I don't have to worry about pulling up any kind of window trims and that type of stuff. And I don't have to get crazy with disassembly. So I'm just going to be using the standard patterns that come on core, and I'm going to be adding an extra inch all the way around on our patterns, just so I have got max coverage without having to go crazy and take the vehicle apart for maximum coverage like you. All right, so we're ready to start the installation of the front door. Just gonna spray my slip solution on there and then create my dry spot right over here. I'm gonna take the pattern and peel it away from the liner. And we're going to stick it to the vehicle. And then pull that liner out from behind and get rid of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the film back. Get a whole bunch of slip solution behind the film. You want that film to be able to glide around nicely. And now I'll spray a bunch of slip solution on top of the film. And now we can start our install. So, right now, what I'm going to do is I want to line everything up right around the door handle. So I'm going to start right over here on this edge and get a little bit of tack solution behind the film. I got that locked down. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. Just like so. Now I can get everything locked down on this top corner. You'll notice that I'm actually leaving the door handle wrap for last. That's by design. At least my own personal preference. I like to leave those for last. It's more tedious work getting all this stuff down. So what I want to do is just make sure that I've got good alignment all the way around here. And then I can come back later on, get that down. But in the meantime, I want to take and get the rest of this door down. So right now, we have to stretch the PPF into place over here on this corner. So I'm just going to line the film up with the edge. Hold that there. There we we go. That's good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to this edge, or this corner, I should say. And stretch the film into place. And then just got that locked into place there nicely. Now I got to make sure that I have good alignment on this edge. So what I actually have to do is I have to pull the PPF this way a little bit. There we go. As you can see, that creates a finger right there, but that's a very manageable finger. Nothing that's going to require any major maneuvering of the film. There we go. Now, I'm just going to worry about that later. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start pulling the solution down, and I'm going to start working it all out. And you'll see this finger right over here. I'm going to deal with this once I got everything else out. So, I'm just going to take and pull all of this solution down. Now at this body line, I'm just going to come back and forth over this body line a couple of times just to make sure that there's nothing left behind underneath it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tack solution. I'm going to spray my tack solution underneath the film or underneath that window trim. And now I'm just going to come across. I'm just going to squeegee this all down. So I'm kind of installing this the exact same way I would a clear PPF wrap on clear paint, because we got matte paint underneath here and we're doing a matte PPF over top of it. So I'm not looking for 100% crazy coverage like I would doing a matte PPF on a gloss paint, if that makes any sense, where I would have to make sure I remove these window trims and really tuck in underneath there. So just a little bit, a tidbit of information there. So now before I get crazy on squeegeeing everything down, I'm going to take and get a bunch more slip solution underneath the film. And then before I start squeegeeing it, I'm just going to take my hand and I'm going to push as much air out from under the film as possible. And there we go. Now I can start getting rid of all of this solution. So I'm just going to overlap our squeegee strokes. I'm pulling all the solution down to that body line. And then everything else I'm going to deal with after that. This right over here, just going to pull the film back, get our tack solution underneath it, squeegee that down at an angle. Perfect. Now I can come back over here, make sure there's nothing left behind on this body line, and then I can start squeegeeing this all down. Okay, that's good. Now what I can do is lift this up over here, and then I'm going to flush my slip solution out from under the film. Because I want to make sure that this is not going to lift up anymore. And that is good. just quickly get some tack solution underneath here on this ridge. There we go. So I added an extra inch to the PPF pattern on this edge and on the bottom edge, just because I didn't want to have to mess around with stretching the PPF too terribly much. These patterns from Core are really good, but I've never done a PPF install on a vehicle like this, so I don't want to chance it. So I just add an extra inch, then I have more material to work with, and I'm glad that I did. So right now, I'm going to start taking care of the PPF down here by the door handle, up here by the door handle, I should say. So I'm just going to pull this flap back, and I'm going to spray a good, healthy dose tack solution underneath the film. And then with my squeegee, I'm just going to come across here. I got a good, firm grip on it. And we're just going to take and get all this squeegee down. Now, this little flap on the inside, I'm going to get this bottom piece down before I take and actually work that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come around here like this. And then with one hand, one finger, I'm going to push the film down and then follow it up with my squeegee. Now, there's still some soap or a slip solution under that film that I want to get rid of. And we're almost gone. There we go, that's good. Now, this right here, I can lift this flap up underneath, which is probably gonna be very hard for you guys to see, so I do apologize for that. And then I'm just gonna come around with my squeegee and get that down. Now, what I can do is I can open the door, and I'm gonna have to give it a good pull because the film is sticking there a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take my knife and I'm gonna cut off a good chunk of that film so I can leave about a 1/4 inch left behind to wrap. So you'll see as I'm cutting, I'm pulling the excess material away from the vehicle so I can try and keep a semi-straight cut. Once I trim underneath there, or once I have it wrapped, I'll come back and I'll get a really nice clean trim on it as well too. I do apologize for the excess noise in the background. We do have a mechanic shop moving in next door. Okay, there we go. What I'm gonna do before I move on to the rear door is I'm gonna take my tack solution. I'm just gonna flush this edge out. This is gonna flush out all the slip solution that's left behind. And it's gonna start the process of drying the PPF out. And you can see that this right here is not sitting down. So I'm gonna come around with my squeegee and we're just gonna lock that down. Okay, there we go. Front door is done. Now let's get on to the back door. Start doing the rear door. So I'm gonna take my slip solution. I'm gonna spray the door down, but I wanna be careful I'm not spraying any on the interior. Now we're gonna create our dry spot. so we can back roll the film into place. There we go. Now just carefully, I'm gonna back roll the film, pull the liner out from behind the film. There we go. Now we can start our installation. I'll actually start the install standing up because the vehicle is up on the ramps. There we go, that is good. Now we're gonna repeat the same install process that we did on the front door. So we're gonna start right over here. I'm gonna pinch the film together. As I pinch the film together, it's gonna come up off the vehicle. It's gonna let me get my tack solution behind the film. There we go, I can tack that down. I'll come around over here and do the exact same thing. That's good. Now I can come over here. From here till there, PPF lines up, falls into place nicely. Slight stretch. And we're just going to get this area down right around the door handle. That's good. Now we're going to come across over here. Just pulled the PPF into place right here. That's good. Now I'm going to take and get this top edge down before I sit down and do the lower parts of the door. All right, now just gonna take and squeegee down along this edge just to make sure that everything is down nicely, and it is. Just using the palm of my hand to get that air out from underneath it. There we go. That's good. Now we can do the rest of this door. Now, as you can see, because of this body line, we've created a bit of a positive tension line right here where the PPF is kind of pulling itself together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my hand, and I'm just going to take and get that air out from underneath the film. That is perfect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit of tack solution behind the door handle here so I can get that area down. That was starting to bother me. Still is coming down, so I just want to make sure that that stays down, which it's not. So I'm just going to hold that there with a squeegee a little bit. That should be good. Now I can start pulling all of the slip solution out from under the film. As you can see, this is still popping up, so I'm just going to take care of this right now. Hold that there with my squeegee. That should stay down. Because I question whether or not it actually will, I'm just going to take and squeegee this down right now. We'll deal with the rest of the door handle later. There we go. Now, one piece of contamination right here, which I'm going to pull the film up off the door, and we're going to get that piece out. One thing I've noticed guys doing, and I was guilty of this when I started installing PPF as well too, and that was using tack solution so much in your installations that you become dependent on it. Once you actually learn how and where to use tack solution, you really only need to use it on your edges, and you should never have to use it anywhere else in your install. But just looking for that, it's right there. So I don't know what that is. I don't remember why I got on that rant about when to use tack solution, but if you know when to use your slip solution and when to use your tack solution, in a situation like this where I find a piece of contamination right over here, I know that when I see it, I can pull this film up relatively quickly and it's going to come up very easily. It's not actually sticking. Whereas if I would have sprayed tack solution in there and squeegeed that down, that would be a lot harder to get that PPF lifted up. So save your tack solution for your edges or your tack points, and your installs will go that much better. Okay, now I can get this all down again. Now that that contamination is out from underneath the film. What do we got right here? Oh no, I thought I had it out. Oh, it's right here. Now it's out. I'm not going to edit that out. You guys can see exactly how to deal with it. Always want to overlap your squeegee strokes just to make sure that you're not leaving any solution behind. And what have we got here? We got ourselves a hair. Huh. Wow. One thing you want to do when you're installing PPF is you always want to wear lint-free clothing. You know, I'm always wearing Nike gym shorts and some kind of athletic shirt, so that's going to prevent any kind of microfibers from getting underneath the film. So I'm not exactly sure how that got under there, but the little things like that that are going to help you become a really, really good PPF installer. Okay, there we go. That door is installed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the door handle down. Now that we've already got the bottom down, got my tack solution underneath there. Now I'm going to come around with my squeegee and I'm really going to work this film down. There we go. That's good. A couple little fingers popping up there, which I'm just actually going to use my finger to get that down. Okay, there we go, that's good. Now what I want to do is I want to get these edges down. So I'm just going to lift the film up over here. Because the film is sitting up on this flare, the film's not fully sitting down on the actual panel. You can see just how easily the PPF lifted up right there. So that was just down with slip solution. So now that it's down with tack solution, it's not going to lift up very easily. Okay, there we go. That's good. Now, got this little finger right here. So I just lifted the film up, got more tack solution underneath the film. There we go. That's good. I know the film was wanting to lift up there a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush out the slip solution along this edge. And then I'm going to get my knife. And I'm going to trim off the excess material. Okay, let's grab the knife. So the PPF, we're going to be wrapping it behind a seal over here on the door. I hate doing it. I mean, it looks good once it's done because then it's completely invisible seam. But I just hate doing it because that seal just doesn't give you that much wiggle room to actually get the film behind there. Kind of have to get pretty aggressive with it. There we go. So that's down. That's cut. Now I can pull this door open. Come back over here. Made a relief cut. Let's get some more tack solution underneath here. Okay, now okay, there we go. Now I'm going to do a relief cut right on the corner by that door. Now we're going to do a cut right here. Did our cut right there. Now just going to make sure we're always pulling that excess material away from the vehicle. And there we go. Now it's time to wrap the edges and do all of our post heating. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right, so we're going to start the process of post heating all the PPF that was just installed on these doors here. So I got my wrap gloves on. We're going to be having these on our website pretty soon to purchase. So maybe by the time this video goes live, they will be on the site. If they are, the link will be below. If not, check back in the future. Wrap gloves, even though these are more so for vinyl, I love using these for PPF. Got my heat gun right here. It's a Mastercraft heat gun, just a cheap one from Canadian Tire. I always go setting number 3. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's hot. In fact, this mark right here is a permanent scar from a burn that I got from a while ago where I accidentally rubbed my hand on it. So don't be like Eric, at least with that. Now, as you can see right down over here, the PPF is actually peeling up in the door cup. So, because there is a good amount of tension right there, what I'm going to do, heat gun on, is I'm actually going to get some heat in there. I'm just going to follow up with my thumb, and we're just going to get it down like that. So this is quite hot with the heat. So what I'm doing is I'm just warming up the film, and then I'm coming across with my finger with the wrap glove on and pressing that edge down to seal it off. Now with wrapping this edge, obviously we got a couple edges we need to wrap, but right over here we've got this body line. What I'm going to do, give this some heat from behind. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to slowly start working the film down behind it, right on that body line. Now that I have it around that corner, I'm just going to press it down. And then from there, I can start working the rest of the wrapped edge down. Okay, there we go, that's good. Now I can sit down And we can get this edge down. So what you'll see I'm doing now is I'm just getting some good heat behind this edge. Now I already flushed this out with my tack solution, so there shouldn't really be any slip solution left underneath the film. But doing this is just gonna help make this edge so much easier to wrap. I'm just gliding my thumb right along, going from top to bottom, bottom back up to top, pushing the film around a little bit more each time. There we go, that's good. Now this bottom edge, I'm just gonna give this some good heat. And then I'm gonna come from the other side. I'm just gonna go back and forth. I actually need a little bit more tack solution right there. Okay, now I can shut the door. This edge right here, I'm not a fan. I don't like wrapping these, but it's got to get wrapped. So what I'm gonna do, because that seal is obviously in the way, is I'm gonna pull the seal away on this corner here, and we're gonna have to let this one dry out for a bit. It's funny, I said we need to let this one dry out a bit, and then what do? I pull the film back and I start soaking it with more solution. But this is just tack solution, which is just gonna help the film. It's gonna help get rid of all the slip solution that's left behind the film. Now, I need to Okay, I'm gonna leave this edge for last. We're just gonna let this dry out some more, and then I'll come back and wrap it later. But let's move on to the front door. So this edge right here, you can actually see, oh, I found some more vinyl that was left behind. They didn't do a very good job unwrapping this vehicle. So you can see right here, this was the blue that it was. So yeah, it's like a nice dark royal blue. So I'm going to turn the heat gun back on. I'm going to start heating up the back edge of the film. You'll see right over here, I'm working on this body line, or this sharp corner here. I'm just working the film around with my thumb. There we go. Let's come do this one now too. There we go. There we go. That's down nicely. Now we'll do the around the door handle. Now the last edge that we're going to do before I go back and wrap that edge is going to be this front edge. Okay, and there we go. This is all done. That edge I'm going to let dry out for a couple hours before I go and wrap it so it's completely dry, but that's going to conclude this video. If you guys made it this far, I can't thank you enough for watching. If you could, make sure you go and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the video, what you'd like to see more of, what you would like me to stop doing. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.